Is there a problem, people?
No problem at all, Mrs. Kennedy.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
Well, it's a special day in the neighborhood, kids. It's a super special day. Episode 56. We are... we're doing our thing. It's another podcast. Everybody get hyped. Get excited. Jason, we should see Silver and Ross much later. How's it going, Jason?
All right. Not too bad. Did a couple of so I did a couple things this week. I've been playing through Super Mario World. It's just every once in a while you have to go back to those classics. You know what I mean?
A couple weeks ago, I've been trying to grind through the special levels, the like hidden secret ones.
On Super Mario World?
Yeah, it's still a good time.
Yeah, it is. Very much so. Today I finished the Star Road stuff. It's kind of funny that if you get to Star Road right away, you can immediately warp to Bowser's Castle. It's just...
if you work your way, it depends on where you start and then work your way around the star, but yeah, theoretically.
What I mean is, if you beat the first world and you go to the second, the donut, I believe it's the Donut Plains. Anyway, you can get from there to the Star Road, and then if you complete the Star Road, one of the stars will take you right to a warp location. It's right next to Bowser's Castle. All you have to do is walk over and enter. But,
so it's not almost immediately, but you would have to beat the fairly difficult Star Road missions to get there. But, yeah.
But then, that's been a lot of fun. I started playing Tunic. I don't know if you've ever played that one before. It's kind of a...
I don't think so.
It's a weird cross between... Legend of Zelda and Souls, Dark Souls.
Okay.
So you're this cutesy little fox that's wandering around and everything is all cartoony and stuff. But if you die, it takes you back to your last save point. And then you have to go back to where you were to pick up, like, it's almost like your soul echoes, but it's not quite that. It's not nearly as punishingly difficult as a Soulsborne game, but it's kind of weird in that it's so much like the what is it? That they just released. I shouldn't say they just. They released recently a remake of an old Link game, old Legend of Zelda game, and they gave it kind of a cartoony update. I forget which one it was off the top of my head.
Crap.
It's the one where you're basically in a dream
Yes,
and
I
you have
own
to
it.
get the instrument. Yeah. But I can't think of what the name is off the top of my... Anyway.
Link's
It's
Awakening.
kind of... Yeah, there you go. Link's Awakening. So it's kind of got that artsy, cutie style for the game. But at the same time, if you die, you have to go and you get back to where you died before, and there's your little soul waiting for you to go pick it up. So there's a little bit of that souls element in the game, which makes it a little bit awkward because you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is little cutesy Zelda type, and it's like, no, this is a little bit souls. But it's been interesting. I also finished a book called The Last Devil to Die. I mentioned before I've been reading this book series about set in England. They're a bunch of retired people living in a community, and they solve murders and stuff. So I read the last book in the series so far. As I understand it, the author is writing the 5th book in the series, or is going to be releasing that. He's been busy working on a Netflix movie based on his first book in the series. So
Got to get that
that's
Netflix
been my
money.
week. Yeah.
Shoot. I played a little bit of Avowed. Like, I really burnt out on that mediocre RPG really quickly.
Yeah, I saw today on Steam. I saw Avowed pop up because it was like, hey, maybe you should check out your queue. And so I was like going through it, and it was like, hey, Avowed, and I'm like, didn't people say this was kind of blah? But apparently on Steam it was like mostly positive.
Well, that's people who were playing it. That doesn't mean it's doing well on Steam. Let's find out. Let's see. Avowed. Yes, I'm a human. See, Avowed has...
It has 6,468 reviews.
Well, it peaked at 19,000 players, which is not good.
Right.
Since it's coming, it's not doing well. So, despite the reviews seemingly being positive, nobody's playing it. So,
That's what I was saying. I was like, I just am not following you here, because from what I understand, this isn't a good game, and yet you're trying to convince me that it totally is. Gotcha.
Well, they want they want your money.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about this before, where we know that different companies have been removing removing negative reviews, and this just makes me think that they're still up to it.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past them. That sort of thing has been going on for quite some time, since like the internet's existence.
And they say that we have a trust issue with these companies.
Well, it's all smoke and mirrors. One of the dirty secrets of the internet. It's like a good example is Amazon. So the idea is, as a savvy consumer, that they put user reviews that have purchased this or confirmed purchases. So you go on and you see whether or not the product is good, maybe some problems with it, and then you make an informed consumer opinion. But the problem is, the internet being what it is, sales are reliant on whether or not this has good stars as a product on Amazon. So oftentimes they'll do little things like they'll fake purchases to people and just send them something minor so that they can up the reviews with an artificial review. They used to do stuff on Amazon where the company, just before a big sale, like the big Cyber Monday sale will raise the price of their product just before the sale so that they can lower it by like 20% and make it look like it's a deal, even though the price is exactly the same as it was before. Don't trust any of this. They're trying to scam you.
No. What I hate about the Amazon reviews is the way that it seems so predatory. So I'll order something from Amazon, and the day after it shows up at my house, I'm getting a thing from Amazon going, "Hey, would you like to review the product?" I'm like, I haven't even used it yet. It just showed up yesterday. What are you doing?
Those high scores are necessary, but honest high scores are not. Because if we're being honest, it's like with movies. Not everything can be a 10 out of 10. And in fact, 5 is technically average. It should be down the middle.
Yeah.
So most movies should have a 5, and then you shouldn't view a 5 as a negative. But because ratings are so overinflated with almost everything, everything's got to be like an 8 or a 9 or a 7. 7's bad. According to IGN, 7 is a dumpster.
Well, didn't they go through IGN and look at the ratings that they'd been giving to movies and basically came to determine that a 7 had no meaning to IGN because they rated everything as a 7?
Well, what's her name? I forget her name. Australian. Anyway, she's quote unquote journalist, I guess, internet personality. But she had this big talk on her channel explaining why IGN gives everything a 7. And basically her assessment was, well, because modern games take so much more time and effort, nothing's ever going to be like a 3, that the default is a 7, and then you work up from there. And I was like, that's bullshit. That's nonsense.
Well, the thing is everything should be a 5, because 5 is, like you said, 5 is average. So everything should be a 5, and either you work up from the 5 or you go down from the 5. If the game is a dumpster fire, it should be like a 2 or a 1 or a 2, not a 7.
Well, it's not like IGN hasn't had inconsistent ratings. It's not like they weren't caught with a bunch of this drama before. I mean, honestly. But yeah, her explanation was, well, modern games take so much money to make that they started a 7 because they're not, because bad games would be, it's like, that's completely unfair. You judge it by the standard that everything should be. Just because it's an indie game and doesn't have as fancy graphics or as much time put into it, doesn't mean the game isn't as good or even better. Games should be judged by quality, sure, but also whether or not it's good. I mean, there are some very mediocre looking games, but fit within the artistic style that they're trying to do. That are Papers, Please is really good.
Right. And we've had a kind of a renaissance in retro gaming recently. And I'm not saying like retro as in
over the past
people
5,
are going
10
like
years,
like I'm doing. Yeah. Like I'm going back to play Super Mario World. It's they're creating these games in a retro style because it allows them to more quickly develop and put the game out because they're not focused so much on 3D modeling and rendering and all that other stuff. They're just really focused on, let's make a good game. Let's, I really liked, what was that? Sea of Stars. I really liked that game. That RPG was pretty, the story was I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters, the art style. It wasn't, all the fancy graphics. It was much more, like 16 instead of 8-bit kind of thing.
I mean, it's good looking for the type of game they're trying to make. It's very much like a SNES Secret of Mana sort of thing.
Right. Exactly. And but it's a recent release as opposed to, like you said, Secret of Mana. So we have these games that are coming out that are good games that are not they're not AAA games or whatever. And they don't need to be. They need to be good for what they are.
Well, my argument would be they are AAA games. It's just we're not talking.
Oh, I guess
We're not talking budget.
Go.
We're talking quality.
True. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. I think that a lot of times when we talk about AAA games, we are talking about budget.
Yes.
As opposed to quality. So yes, I would say that a lot of these retro style games that we've really seen a renaissance for, that they are definitely AAA in quality, and they are a lot of these studios are making money hand over fist because they are putting out really good games that don't cost the company a ton of money, and then they're making bank.
Costs are low, income's high. You make a good game, you get a return. Shocking turn of events. Oh, look, it's Silver.
The kaiju monster is so happy to be here.
So how's that cat doing, Silver?
It exploded. I don't know what else to say.
The cat exploded?
Oh my gosh! There was so much barf!
Is it the one that usually barfs?
Yes!
She has a barfy cat.
All over my bed! I'm sleeping on the floor tonight. Ugh.
What is it so bad? It's in the mattress, you can't replace the
sheet.
sheets or whatever? Like,
No, it went through the sheets. That's the problem.
flip the mattress over.
I think she's probably Febrezed it and it's drying out.
It is. I've so many chemicals, it hurts to breathe in here.
Well, you could suck on the mattress and get a special treat.
That's awful.
A delicious treat.
I don't know how that cat's okay. It just looks like,
Well, clearly it's not okay.
but it's like
After it
It
threw up
rolled
on her
up
bed,
flat
it was
on the
like,
floor.
I'm out of here. I'm fine now.
but this time it chose my bed.
Next time I visit your
I
place, I'm
don't
going to
know
puke on your
how
bed.
The cat got its head under the blankets and vomited, and then went on top and vomited again in 4 different places.
Is it offensive if I puke at your place, but as long as it's on previous puke, it's relative because it's already pukey?
I think that would still be considered, rude.
A faux pas, if you will.
But I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's only half rude. Because if you were throwing up on stuff that hasn't been thrown up on, that would be, the
I'm just
taking the full rude right there.
I'm just adding to the vomit. I don't know why it's such a big deal.
I think that's why it's a big deal. Nobody wants more vomit. They usually want less. But at least you're being considerate enough to vomit where there's already vomit. So,
Well, I think it's more of a no vomit versus vomit thing. I mean, as soon as you have vomit, it's just vomit.
right, but I can't say that I've ever thought, you know what we could use here? More of this stuff.
What if you're fighting monsters that are allergic to vomit?
In that case, yes, I would say go
So
for
there
it.
is a
More-
theoretical
more the merrier.
scenario where you could use more of it.
Yes, theoretical scenario. But I can't say in my personal life that I've ever looked at, looked at the vomit and thought, you know what? They missed a spot.
Not since we erased your mind since the alien invasion. It's like signs where we putting glasses of water everywhere. Instead, it was just, we're really vomity.
It's all coming back to me. The horror, the horror.
I see it in my dreams.
It was pea green soup in here.
A really bad Shyamalan movie. Huh? How could he?
Little did you know that was the original idea, but somebody was like, no, you know what, Knight? Let's not do vomit. Let's do water instead. It'll be easier to clean up later.
Silver, how's it going, champ?
I think I'm getting high because of all the chemicals in the air. Oh, God.
You druggie.
The windows are open. The headache is full throttle. This is great.
Dare to keep Silver off of drugs.
Tell that to the cat.
I got a t-shirt that says you're living your life as a horrible person. Cat vomit is a gateway drug. First cat
Cat's
vomit.
living a Exorcist movie.
5 levels down, fentanyl, and you're passed out in the street. You're on your way. And I will not be there to pick you up because you're covered in vomit from your fentanyl.
Just let me go at that point. And
How far is my obligation? I was thinking the other day, here's an open question. So you know that song Creep by Radiohead?
Okay.
Great song, but it's become the anthem of anybody who's ever felt sad. Like ever. And I was listening. See? Everybody that's ever felt sad treats it like it's talking to me. And it's like, well, it can't be talking to everybody. It's talking about that specific feeling, but I digress. I was thinking the other day, is there an amount of times that you can listen to that to Creep in a row before someone should intervene? Like we need to call some sort of service to come check on you. Like what is the amount of times you listen to that song where it's like too many times? Where it's like, oh, this person's really not doing very well.
That is a good question.
Because it's like, if you're feeling bummed, you might listen to it 1, 2, 3 times. If you're getting to 4 or 5, it's like, oh, this guy's going a little.
At that point.
He's having problems. I mean, 10. I don't think people would get to 10. I think you're past like recovery by the time you start to approach 10. If you've listened to Creep all the way through by Radiohead 10 times, you're probably not alive. And it's just playing on loop in the background when they find your corpse somewhere. I don't know. 5 seems pretty good. 5 or 6. That's like too many. No one usually gets it to that point. Am I insane?
Just in a row, repeated.
Yes, just over and over again. Like, when is the threshold from, oh, they're feeling sad right now, to someone needs to check on them? Am I the only
I'd
one
say
that thinks about this?
you're probably right with somewhere around 5-ish. You wouldn't want to let it go too far past that.
I mean, is there any song that you've listened to 5 times in a row?
No.
Yes.
I can't say that there is.
Silver? What song?
Oh, do I have to share?
Yes, you do. It's a safe place.
Hold on. So, funny story. Let's see if I can still pull this up, because I'd like to know the statistics. Well, when I'm studying, I like there to just be like one like noise or something, so that won't distract me. Either like an episode of something I've seen a million times and don't need to pay attention to, or a song that I know the lyrics of and I'm not just sitting there listening to it.
Something
Weirdly enough, that song is from Counting Crows. It's Accidentally in Love from Counting Crows.
Oh no!
So I got on the Spotify wrap up at the end of the year, which I never look at, but I happen to. It's like you are in the top 0.01% of listeners for Counting Crows.
You know, I've gotten that. I've gotten that for something. Do you know what mine
And that's the
was?
only song I listen to.
Counting Crows is pretty sad, if I'm going to be honest. Accidentally in love.
Yeah.
I was like the 0.01%, and people have listened to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Oh wow.
I play it while I'm working. It's relaxing music in the background.
Yeah, totally get it.
So I
I
just
guess my
play it.
chemistry teacher is known for listening to that on loop all hours of the day while he's like grading students and failing them.
The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Oh yeah, and I find that hilarious.
It's so that he doesn't feel too bad about failing people. It's the uplifting gospel music. It helps him assuage the guilt in his heart for failing a bunch of people.
It's so that God doesn't see him when he's doing evil.
Yeah.
To hide his shame, like that bird that they eat in France.
Oh yeah.
So there's a song that I have. It's called Clubfoot by Kasabian, I think is what it is. And I have listened to it. Yeah, it's Clubfoot by Kasabian. I've listened to it on repeat, but not more than like 3 times, just because some of the lyrics are a bit it's like they've ran their vocals through like a techno filter, so it's got kind of a microphone buzz as they're singing. I like it, but you can't always tell what they're saying when they're singing, and so I have put it on repeat because I'm like trying to catch words and things that they're saying. But other than that, I don't tend to listen to just put something on repeat and just let it go. I will listen to a song and then say, well, I really want to listen to that one again, so I'll rewind back to the beginning and listen to it again, but then I'll let it go on.
Jeez, you guys are really sad. I watched this movie called The King Tide. And
Okay.
you're going to go, oh, I haven't heard of it. Well, of course you haven't heard of it. No one's heard of this movie. It's kind of a indie film. The only reason why I'm aware of it is because Red Letter Media talked about it. And I'm not usually a person who goes, oh, they talked about it, I got to go see this movie. It's just, it sounded interesting. And then like the next day I was looking for stuff and I thought of that movie and I just it's on Amazon. So I decided to sit down and watch it. Like the revenue listed for that film is like it says they got like $16,000 in Russia. Like they made no money on this movie. It's just a weird indie movie. It's actually really good. I would recommend it.
What's it about?
It's not a spooky movie, despite what the trailer might give you the impression of. It's more of like a thriller. To not reveal too much, essentially a baby they live on an island in like Newfoundland. This little town. And a baby washes up on shore and it heals. It just being near the baby heals your wounds.
Okay.
And it sort of snowballs into like a Wicker Man. They're worshiping this little girl as she grows up on the island who fixes all of their problems. Except this causes issues down the road because they become reliant on her for resolving everything. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really interesting. And it goes interesting places. So I would reinforce Red Letter Media's recommendation. See the movie. It's an odd film, and it does have some recognizable people. It's filmed really well. It's good cinematography. The mom, Rose's mom in Titanic is in it.
Okay.
So there you go.
I don't remember who it was.
The King Tide. I played some Hearts of Iron. I did some VR. I finally beat Arizona Sunshine 2, killing zombies and such. Good times. Well, the big news, there's big news every week. But in the realm of what we talk about, one of the biggest pieces of news is the drama around Kathleen Kennedy. Hence the title of said podcast. Now, it's hard to... Let's start from the beginning before we go too far. As hopefully this links to the... Yes, it does. All right. So, news comes out of nowhere as I artificially adjust this, that apparently Kathleen Kennedy is going to leave Lucasfilm as their president by the end of the year. Matt Baloney from the newsletter Puck was the one that did the reporting on it. He's the one that got the information. He was a former editor of Hollywood Inside Hollywood. And this is where he got that information.
Let me just say that there have been no end of ecstatic videos posted to YouTube after that announcement.
Well, there's been a lot of expectation and hope and rumor for a long time that she might quit. And it's not, look, however you might feel about her as a person, because I think nobody really knows her personally, because she's an executive and a producer sort of on things.
Right.
But we know sort of her work, and for the longest time, if you had paid attention, she was a producer on some of the biggest movies that have come out in recent memory. She has a producer name on the Indiana Jones movies, I think Jurassic Park, some of the Star Wars. So you might think that she's this very capable person that adds a lot to things. She apparently started out as like Spielberg's secretary and would just constantly chime in her opinion in meetings, which I would take as a bad sign because nobody hired you to add your opinion in meetings.
Well, especially a secretary. I mean, that right there is a sign that you're not a good secretary, that you're doing a bad job, and she should have been fired.
But she got handed the reins to Lucasfilm from George himself, and took over. So the expectation was she knew these movies, she was a part of them, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, how much of a role does a producer really have?
Right.
Regardless, she gets put in charge of Lucasfilm, and a lot of the hate and anger that revolves around Kathleen Kennedy revolves around the fact that under her tenure, under the Disney Star Wars, she produced a lot of just horrifically bad movies. All of the Disney Star Wars stuff. So Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, all of the bad direct to Disney Plus shows is her. She is at fault for the Indiana Jones horrifically bad movie that came out, that you could see her hand in it because it was like dominant by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and it seemed like she wanted to turn her into the new Indiana Jones from what we got from behind the scenes, that it felt like she wanted to hand over the adventure reins to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, even though I'm confused as to why anybody likes her. She's kind of like an abrasive, unlikable person, but for some reason, just people love her. And they keep bringing her in for like writing stuff. It's weird. Like, I don't know why people think she's a good writer. I wouldn't say she is. But regardless, for good or ill, Kathleen Kennedy has taken the brunt of the anger of the direction that Lucasfilm has gone through under the Disney company. And a lot of this can be traced back to her directly. She's in charge. It's her fault. If you weren't happy with the sequel trilogy, we've got like our first Star Wars movies to lose money under her, which everybody thought was an impossibility. Solo lost money. A Star Wars movie. The Solo movie lost money. Indiana Jones was a massive failure. And the absurd cost in ballooning costs, like, it's very possible that they haven't made back their money on the money that they gave George Lucas yet.
Oh.
With the amount of content they put out, they were playing out on like a Star Wars movie a year, and then that got crashed because of all the negative reception. Nobody spends hundreds of millions of dollars to make $20 off of it. They need to make even more out of that, and when they're not getting their return, it's regardless. Kathleen Kennedy has been the center of the ire of nerddom across the world. Well, we get the rumor from Matthew, I believe his name is Baloney. Yeah, Baloney. From Puck, that according to insiders and people close to her, that she's going to step down as president of Lucasfilm by the end of the year, after more than 10 years at the top of the company. 10 years of bad Star Wars. Jeez. Who would have thought it'd last that long? Well,
I mean, it's amazing sometimes to think that if something like this had been happening, can you expect in our day and age, if this had been a male producer that was losing this much money, do you think that they would have been asked to step down as the executive producers, the head of that company? But because Kathleen Kennedy is a woman, nobody felt that they could ask her to step down.
Well, she emerged in the era of the big push for diversity in all things. Like, she was a part of that, the Force is female thing with the shirts and stuff. Apparently, when she read the script of The Acolyte, she cried. And that show was just horrifically bad. I don't think she's good at this. She apparently can produce people who are very good at making movies, but that's about it. Who knows if she would have been a good producer on really crappy movies. Regardless, so the rumor mill is treating this like an absolute certainty. She's leaving. This is from insiders, yada, yada, yada. And we've heard rumors before that she is leaving Lucasfilm. So this is not a surprise. Well, the plot thickens slightly. Here we have an article from CNN and a really horrific ad. The Star Wars chief is staying on at Disney, despite a report that she is leaving, at least for now. CNN reports that she is staying on, and I believe alludes to, I can't remember who they say their source is. Anyway, according to their source, they say she's not leaving. She stayed on in the company. This is nonsense. sort of a retraction, a counter by CNN. Now, the reason why this was taken as gospel is because the first time ever major publications have been reporting on this. We got this from Hollywood Reporter, we got this from Deadline, we got this from Forbes.
Right, it wasn't some rando on the internet saying she's retiring. It was actually from a legit source.
Well, here's an interesting bit of information. So, CNN, let's see. They published an article contradicting Puck's report that Kennedy is planning her exit from Lucasfilm, citing a vague, anonymous source close to the situation who claimed there was nothing there right now. Now, Baloney has exposed exactly who that source likely is, Kennedy's personal publicist, Simone Halls. This raises glaring issues. If Baloney's report is accurate, that means CNN didn't get tricked into running spin for Kathleen Kennedy. They knowingly participated in it, which is a huge ethics violation. If you're reporting on an anonymous source saying she's not leaving, everything's fine, which was fed to you by Kathleen Kennedy's publicist. That's a little sketchy, if you might ask me. So the reason why this is unique, well, despite the ethics issues with CNN, the reason why this might be really unique is that rumors have happened before. Kathleen Kennedy, let alone her publicist, has never responded to the rumors before.
Mm-hmm.
But they're responding now, and they're taking this seriously. Which brings us here. Story from Deadline. Kathleen Kennedy speaks on her Lucasfilm. Freaking gotta live adjust this. Lucasfilm plans. She is not retiring, and the films that will keep her in Star Wars orbit for years to come. We have a quote in conversation with Kathleen Kennedy. The truth is, I just want to say it out loud and clear. I'm not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I'm not retiring. What's happening is Lucasfilm is, I have been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. We have an amazing bench of people here, and we have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road. We're in lockstep as to what that's going to be. And I am continuing. I am producing the Mandalorian movie right now. I'm also producing Sean Levy's movie, which is after that. So I'm continuing to stay on at Lucasfilm and looking very thoughtful with Bob and Alan as to who's stepping in. So that is all underway, and we have every right to make that announcement when we want to make it. You know what this doesn't debunk? That she's leaving Lucasfilm? Because Matt Baloney said that she is going to leave Lucasfilm by the end of the year. He didn't say she's retiring and completely abandoning movies. He said she's just going to step down as executive and then turn it over to somebody else.
Which is good.
Well, right,
good
but
news,
this retracting statement put in by Deadline with Kathleen Kennedy addressing it directly herself doesn't say I am not stepping down from Lucasfilm. So how is this a retraction about her retirement?
Well, I think everybody thought she was going to be done. Like, I'm out of here, I'm done. But she's saying, no, I'm going to die doing films. So she still is, she may be stepping down as the executive of Lucasfilms, but she's still planning on being involved with the movie industry somehow.
No. You're completely missing this, Jason.
I'm sorry.
They came out with a story claiming she is leaving Lucasfilm, and PR forcing CNN to be a PR tool of Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm lie that they have some anonymous source close to it that it's not happening, when they're violating ethics by basically being her PR tool. And then she comes out and addresses a rumor directly, claiming, no, it's not true. I'm not retiring, even though she's carefully not to say that she's not actually stepping down from head of Lucasfilm. If this was all nonsense, she wouldn't bring it up. She's never addressed rumors before. She's at no point said anything besides, I'm going to die making films. But what she carefully doesn't say is, I'm going to die staying the head of Lucasfilm forever. Which raises big questions, because that's the issue here. Is we got all of this big hullabaloo on the internet that Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down. And now all of the PR speak is running interference saying that she's not retiring. They're not saying she's not stepping down as head of Lucasfilm, which is suspicious, to say the least, amidst all of the fact that she's responding to rumors, which she's never done before.
I don't know. I mean, it could be that the reason that she's responding now is because of the traction that this particular rumor has gotten at this time. Because in the past, I can't remember anybody picking up or,
not mainstream publications.
Obviously, anonymous nerds on the internet going, oh, she's finally retiring. That kind of thing, nothing. Because we all didn't believe it. But because we've got a mainstream source telling us, then that, because it's mainstream, we're thinking, oh, added credibility here. They probably, were having a discussion and they told them about it so they could be the first to report on it, etc. And so this one actually has traction. So I don't know. The thing is maybe she's responding as well to the glee that has been witnessed on, like I said, as soon as I heard this, I started seeing videos popping up all over YouTube going, we're finally free of this harpy, blah, blah, blah. And just exulting in the fact that Kathleen Kennedy was finally retiring from Lucasfilms, and we might be able to recover.
They've been slandering her for years. We had a whole South Park episode implying that she's just a horrible, horrific piece of shit. Right. Why would she care what YouTube videos are saying on the internet?
Right, but this wasn't. This was a little bit different. The other videos on YouTube about Kathleen Kennedy were all about how she was terrible at her job and she was driving these things into the ground.
People have been talking rumors for a long time that she's been quitting. From Heels versus Babyface had a long-running segment where he would talk about whether or not she's going to quit this week.
Right, but once again, it wasn't picked up by everyone. You know what I mean?
No. What makes this different is the credibility of the source, the person who initially published this, and the credibility of the other ones who picked up on it, like Forbes, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter.
Uh-huh. And suddenly we have all these people crawling out of the woodwork going, I'm so glad this person is finally leaving.
I don't think any of that registers on her radar. I think the high profile of main publications it is the bigger deal. But honestly, all she has to say is, I'm not retiring. This is just a rumor, and move on. Why does she have to come out and do an extensive interview addressing why would she care if it wasn't for the fact that this is probably true to some degree and she's trying to assuage people's opinions and fears? Like stuff like this affects stock and the bottom line. That's and true. Future views of production down the road. Like, even if Kathleen Kennedy leaves today, we're going to be cursed with her stink and her presence for like another 5-10
A long
years.
time, yeah.
Like, we're not going to get it
at
out of
least.
Lucasfilm for quite some time.
Well,
I
and
think
the
there's
thing
probably
is that
something to the fact that her at 71 years old may be stepping down as the executive. She can't go on forever.
well, that too. But the other thing is that if she's any metric to go by, I would hesitate to say that we can really breathe a sigh of relief, or that we can really start celebrating, because she's going to be the one that's going to be choosing her replacement. I would assume, I could be wrong here, I would assume that she would choose someone she knows and likes, which does not bode well for us.
Well, that's not necessarily how executives at companies work. It's not like primogenitor
You're right.
kings handing it on to their children. Now, you could have her grooming a replacement and setting somebody up to shadow her for a while and prepare to take over. That is a possibility that is approved by the board and the company and whatnot. She can't do this forever, despite her claims that she's going to die making movies. Even though she doesn't make movies, and that's not what producers do. She lacks any creativity, and any creativity she leveraged turned out to be really bad. Let's just be honest. Anytime she inserted creativity into it, ended up being shit.
I did find the thing that I was looking for. I thought it was George Lucas that said something about Kathleen Kennedy, but it wasn't. It was Spielberg. Spielberg said that Kathleen Kennedy was horrible at taking notes and terrible at her job.
And in Hollywood, when you're bad at your job, you go up. You elevate into more important positions. Kevin Smith called it in Hollywood, you fail upward.
Yeah.
But regardless, the point is, there's something going on here. Otherwise, she wouldn't have talked about it. And I think the evidence bears that out.
I mean, I never took it. So when I first heard the news that she was going to be exiting as the president of Lucasfilms, I thought, okay, well, this could be good, could be bad. It depends on who comes in next. And then when I heard that she's not leaving, I never took that to mean that she was not leaving as president. It could be that she's going to pick up a different role at Lucasfilms and turn over the reins of the company to someone else.
Even if she was leaving, she would lie to cover it up because people aren't supposed to know yet.
Yeah, that's true. That you're right there. Yeah. The thing is that, like you said, she's 71. I mean, she could still be.
She could still ruin Star Wars for a while. Quite some years. Yes.
Oh, yes. But I mean, in reality, retirement age is like 65. So she's 6 years past retirement age. I could totally see her just saying, you know what, I am done. I'm retiring. It's about time. But that there is room, I think, to hope in this scenario that, like I said, she may be stepping down as president and turning the reins over to someone else. I'm hoping that we get somebody who can help these brands to recover. But
it would take massive successes. Yet. Like, we are going to be dealing with the problems she has set up for a long time to come.
Oh yeah. The thing is it's one of those things where Lucasfilms, basically what they need to do right now is put anything Star Wars, anything Indiana Jones, they need to put them on hold and not do anything with the IPs for at least 5 years. And then
it's too big an IP for them to. It's a money thing. It's too big an IP for them to set it aside. Like, what they should do is get us hungry for missing it. But they ain't gonna do that.
Yeah. I think that they could still do something. That there was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or whatever it was that apparently was really well received.
Yes, and
So
they
I
want to
think-
make more games, but we're not getting movies. Like Indiana Jones, as far as I'm concerned, as a film franchise, is dead for the time being. We may get some sort of young Indiana Jones adventures or something, but any attempt to replace him with a new person, like a
That
Indiana
would be
Jones,
a hard sell.
yeah, because it's not Indiana Jones.
I mean, the thing is that obviously Harrison Ford can't be doing Indiana Jones anymore.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah. And they have in the past talked about replacing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, and I believe it was Spielberg that said no. Spielberg was like, no, Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. He's the only one who will be Indiana Jones, and that's it.
Well, that's not
fine.
true because they filmed a young Indiana Jones series. So technically, Harrison
right,
Ford
they
is not
did.
the only person.
Right, but they did actually use Harrison Ford in that as Indiana Jones. So it was like this was teenage Indiana Jones, not current, not adult Indiana Jones. But what I was getting at was more along the lines of they haven't released any movies where Harrison Ford wasn't Indiana Jones.
Well, it's because we have a massive bias about it, and no one wants to see
Yes,
him
we do.
replaced, let alone Shia LaBeouf, let alone Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
No,
Every time they've attempted to set up a character to take on the reins, it sucked. Indiana Jones is dead. It's a dead franchise.
I think they could do
No,
a new
because
Indiana Jones movie.
you're presupposing that they can make anything that's not horrific dog shit.
Yes.
So you're
The thing-
presupposing that they could make a movie that's good. The thing is, they can't even get over that hurdle, let alone the idea of getting people to accept a new Indiana Jones or a new person playing Indiana Jones. We can't even get past the hurdle of a non-dog shit film, let alone a different actor.
I agree with you. I think it can be done, but it's not something that would be easy. I'm not saying it would
This
be
is
easy.
nigh
I'm not
on
saying
impossible.
You're right.
Considering
You are
the people
so
that are
right.
making these movies, I don't think they're capable of making anything that's any good at all.
And that's why I'm saying that I think it could be done. I don't think they are capable of doing it. I think that there are filmmakers out there who could take the IP and actually do justice. And I think that there are actors who could fill the role, but I just don't think that they're
now
going to
that
go
we're
in that
living
direction.
in this hypothetical world of maybe Disney lets somebody who possibly is good make a movie that perhaps might be quality. Like, we're living in fantasy land at this point. Indiana Jones as a franchise is dead. It's dead and it's buried and it's never returning. Not at least for a long time. Now, they will attempt, perhaps, at one point, but no one will care, and it'll be a massive failure because they're not confident they can make a good movie, and they're not confident that they could replace him in any respect. It's gonna suck. We all know it's gonna suck. It's a dead franchise, let alone Star Wars that is so dead that now we're reduced to making Grogu movies about some stupid animal that needs to be booted into a wood chipper. He sucks. Grogu sucks. And the Mandalorian TV show was good for the first season and kind of the second, but after that, it's been abysmally terrible. Mandalorian sucks. It's not good. I don't think these people are capable of creating. Like, look, I love Obsidian as a company, or loved. They produce some of my favorite games: Knights of the Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas. They've produced some really good games, and And I was always interested in anything that came out with. I pre-purchased a collector's edition for Outer Worlds because of who they are, and I want to support them as a company. First of all, they're not the same company they used to be. And
Right.
the people that made Avowed, half of the studio was brand new. I don't think the way Obsidian is now that they're capable of making a good game, because they just don't have the experience, the passion, and the people involved to produce something that's any good, because it's just not the same company. And it's like Lucasfilm is not the same people. The people they're putting in charge of the writing, the people who are making creative decisions, they're just not good. This is not the old Lucasfilm. And you might say to yourself, well, if we got a good writer in there, they don't give a shit about a good writer. They want diverse women of color because they have to check boxes. Look at what happened to the Oscars last year. Last year, they came out with this standard.
What's happening this year?
Well, no. They came out with a declared standard that you cannot be considered for an Oscar unless you check certain boxes in order to be considered for the award, which is not only anti-artistic, but bullshit of the highest order. It's just awful.
Oh, yeah.
To make that a declaration that we won't even think of your movie as being good unless you have so many diverse individuals or so many women involved. And it's like, what if the movie's about men on an island? What if we're watching a movie about freaking Lord of the Flies? Is it that necessary?
What is it? What was that movie? Swiss Army Man? Basically, it had two people in it.
Right. That cannot
Both
be
of them
considered
white?
for an Oscar under the new rules set out by the Academy. The Oscars are dead. These are people who are incapable of making artistic decisions that are worth anything because they're so captured by the political messaging that they intend on inserting in everything. Lucasfilm can't produce any good content. They can't. They are infected with the idea that ideology and messaging and politics is more important than quality work and telling a good story. This company cannot make a good movie. They can't. They're just incapable of it. And any premise to otherwise is a lie, which is why I'm going to bring up a rumor. We're going to take this as a rumor, despite the fact of who it's coming from. But Chris Gore, who's a reporter and has been involved with Hollywood for a long time, claims that Disney has been trying to try and sell Star Wars out for about 7 months, but no one's taking.
Wow.
Once again, we're taking this as a rumor. First things first, I don't buy that no one would take it. Amazon would take Star Wars. It's a massive IP. Apple would take Star Wars. Do you think it's so damaged that we wouldn't show up and be like, well, it's not Disney, and give it a try? And Amazon makes bad stuff. They are not good stewards of IPs that they're handed.
No, they're not. I think that if they did sell Star Wars off, I think that we would again stick our, basically put the toe in the water and kind of feel it out, see how, because at this point, I think the fans are of the opinion that if this IP gets moved on to somebody else, that could be an opportunity for them to do something new, to actually
refresh interest.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I don't buy it.
I don't
Selling
either.
it off is admitting defeat. Is admitting that they failed with the movies and they're just throwing it away. Now, it is perhaps the only hope that the franchise has for a fresh start. Do you know what I think will probably happen? Which you'll hate me for.
What's that?
But what probably is going to happen is we are going to get some ancillary movies, and eventually we are going to get remakes of the originals.
Probably, you're probably right. I mean, the thing is that Hollywood. We've said for years that Hollywood is what's the word for it? Creatively bankrupt. They're remaking just about everything, and most of the time when they remake something, they make it worse. It pales in comparison to the original effort, and anything that they do in that vein here, I think they're going to have the same luck. Now, as to whether or not I believe this, I don't. I'm with you on this. I think that this is possibly wishful thinking on somebody's part. But I think that if Disney had actually tried to sell Star Wars, regardless of whether or not it was going to be a quiet sell like this is saying, it would have been blown up immediately. Somebody would have let it slip, and then Disney would have been like, yeah, we're trying to sell Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. So I don't believe it.
I mean, confidence in anything they're producing right now would just go out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Silver, as an outsider to all of this, what do you think of what's going on here?
I think Star Wars is dead, guys. I think it's dead.
Do you care about Star Wars in any way, or?
I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, but I care about it as a big, like, the fandom's big, the big love of Star Wars. I care about it that way. It's a classic. But then they're taking it and they're like, ooh, money. And driving it to the ground, which is just depressing.
I mean, if they
which
were
they started doing
money,
with Lord of the Rings.
If they were
like,
money, they wouldn't be making those decisions.
Yeah.
I think they're making the decisions that are not going to bring them money. But I mean, bringing up Lord of the Rings is a good point. Not to Bogart, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like people understand the franchises that they take over and they try and turn it into something else. It's not.
Yeah.
What do you think, Silver?
Yeah, it's just becoming so wrong.
I think so. You know what all this rumor mill... Go ahead.
The two, like, especially the first one, a season of Mandalorian, it's like, oh, good, like, this is good. Maybe Star Wars is making a comeback here. Second season, not as good. Oh, it's gone. Oh, here's Boba Fett. Here's Obi-Wan. Nope, we've dug ourselves in the trenches. Oh gosh, here's Acolyte. We're doomed.
Hey everybody, it's Jack Black. Do you remember Jack Black?
Oh gosh.
I think if we're going to think of this last era, everybody's going to say that we went through this era of woke and hyper politicization, and I think it's more than that. Despite the politics and the intent to sort of push a message, I think we went through a period of time the last 10 years or so of taking the audience for granted. That there's always just been this assumption that if you have the IP, stupid nerds will just come and eat it up, whether or not we want it or not. They'll take the slop because it's Star Wars, and we'll watch anything that's Star Wars. And nerds, if anything, are very picky about how you handle their franchises. What's that, Jason?
So, in the past, let's say, we have Star Wars, for instance, right? In the past, the 1977, the first Star Wars movie comes out. The next one comes out 83 and then 85 for the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, we didn't have the internet. So everything that that you heard about Star Wars was word of mouth. It was your friends went and saw it, and they're like, "You got to go see this. It's amazing. We all got to go see this." Really, Star Wars as a phenomenon took people completely by surprise. No one thought it would be that big. No one.
Well, the studio didn't with the first one.
No, but they had people that were. When they were re-releasing, they re-released the original trilogy, right? And so they were talking about it and stuff, and people were talking about how they went and saw it opening day, and they got out of the theater and went back and got in line to see it again immediately. You know, people don't really do that anymore with anything. But I kind of wonder. So, we didn't have the internet. Now we do. Now we have the internet. And we have this culture now where we have a lot of instant gratification. We have a lot of influencers online and all that kind of stuff. And so, my question is, how much do you think that in the past, if a movie, let's say that they got on the next Star Wars movie right away, like 1985 hits, we get the Return of the Jedi, and they're like, we need to put out another Star Wars movie.
If George Lucas hadn't gone through a divorce, you mean?
Yeah. If things had happened, so they're like, look, we need to continue this. Do you think that because and let's say that George Lucas's divorce really colors the next offering, and it's just a trash movie.
Well, here's the problem. George Lucas is misunderstood in a lot of different ways. He's not a great director. I contend he comes up with very good, interesting ideas, but he's not a good director.
Has a hard time executing them.
If you look into anything when it comes to the first Star Wars movie, later called A New Hope, early cuts of that movie were dumpster fire, just awful, terrible. The movie was really bad, and it was his wife that edited it and made it palatable, which is why the movie's any good. She got an Oscar. He didn't, for editing Star Wars. She won an Oscar. And when their relationship fell apart, he refused to make Star Wars because he didn't want her to get residuals and stuff. And so he waited until that died out before we got episode 1. And episode 1 was he had full control. He no longer had the studio standing over his shoulder, demanding changes and whatnot. He had full control. To his credit, he made the movie he wanted to make with the prequel trilogy. And the movies he wanted to make with the prequel trilogy were mediocre to bad. Like, they had good moments. I could still feel Star Wars in them. I don't think George Lucas is a good director. So if we go and get movies post The Last Jedi, the hope would be he would write them, someone would be able to adapt them, and then he hands it off to a director he trusts and an editor he trusts, and he stops involvement. Because if we can do that, we could probably produce good Star Wars movies. I contend that even George Lucas himself doesn't really understand his own franchise.
I would say so.
I don't think he understands why people like it and why it connects with people. I think he understands his personal intention and what he was trying to do. But as soon as it left his hands, it turned into something I don't think he realized what it was and what it meant to children and generations afterwards. I don't think George Lucas knows what the hell he was doing.
I think you're right. But my question was, like, right now, with the internet and stuff, if we get a bad movie that's in a beloved franchise, we know it almost immediately. We're getting reports of, of what's going on while they're shooting the movie. I mean, how many rewrites and reshoots did Captain America: Brave New World go through?
I mean, the rumor was
Snow
like
White.
they reshot 4 times.
Yeah.
It was delayed multiple times in the process.
And this is all before we saw anything. You know what I mean? So what I'm wondering is how much this impacts, like in the past, if a movie was bad, it's based on a beloved franchise, it's a bad movie, there's still going to be quite a few people that go see it because they don't know that it's bad yet. And it's up to them to tell everybody that this is bad, and it's all word of mouth and everything. And then we have the internet now where it's instant. We know the instant that the movie is starting to have problems. They're constantly leaking stuff from sets. I mean, how many people or how many times have the studios even hid the details of the movie that they're making from the people who are actually starring in it because they don't want the stars to accidentally leak information about their movies. So I wonder, some like how much we are reliant on now this instant information.
I don't think that's as vital evidence to say that we have, because we're getting information so early that we're able to tell that things. I don't think that's necessarily true. There have been movies that have come out that have been very good that had wrought filming issues.
That's true.
Rogues.
That's true.
Was it? What's that stupid one? Not Rogue Squadron. The
Rogue One.
Rogue One. That had massive filming issues. The first two, the two directors that started out doing it did not finish the film, and it went through extensive reshoots midway through. I really like Rogue One.
Rogue One is good.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I'm going to counter you with an interesting point. Nerdy, goofy stuff like this, like even comic book movies, for the longest time, they were so niche that it was almost difficult to get people to take it seriously. So it's almost like when we would get one, we all flocked to it because we wanted to see these characters we love on the big screen, even if the movies had problems and even if they weren't very good. We would still go see it regardless because, hey, I'm at least getting something, even if it's not that great. Like I give a lot of forgiveness for the Daredevil movie, even though realistically it has problems. All the classic superhero movies were never taken seriously because there was sort of a niche thing and it wasn't any good. And then it broke out with the advent of Spider-Man and the X-Men. Suddenly these are legitimate franchises that could be mined for IPs. And the problem is when we started to get quality movies, we started to demand quality movies because now we know they can take these stories seriously and honor the source material and make something good. When they screw it up, we're not okay with it because we know you're capable of doing better. And you can see the deliberate effort to dishonor the characters as they're making these things. I think they've created this curse for themselves as they've made a lot of these nerdier franchises. Now that we've gotten Lord of the Rings, one of the top Oscar winners of all time, I don't think we're okay with crapping on beloved franchises anymore. Like we're not going to accept it. And perhaps because of that, we're a lot more cynical and a lot more demanding of better, more respectful quality content of the IPs we're given. Am I barking up the wrong tree?
No, I agree with you. I was just wondering, with how much we rely on the internet and things nowadays.
I think the internet can inflame negative feelings and rumor. I think that's definitely possible.
All right.
I think the internet has a factor to play in hyper attention around a franchise or a film. I don't think necessarily rumors about fraught filming is necessarily a negative that we're already presupposing it's bad. I think when we see stills on set and we see trailers and we're like, ugh, like, because we know it's not supposed to look like that, or they're not supposed to be acting like that. Like, we have expectations. I think that's the big problem, and that there's sort of a ball effect that feeds on itself on the internet, where discussion tends to skew negative and tends to roll over itself aggressively when they go after a film and people decide. It's like, even if the movie might be all right, there's a predisposition to suppose they're going to screw it up, and then you have to prove to me that you're not doing it.
That's true.
I expected the Indiana Jones game to suck. I knew it was going to suck. I played it and I was surprised that it actually honors the source material. Is it a perfect game? No, I have minor nitpicks, but I walked into it thinking, oh, this is going to blow. Like, this is not going to be good. And then they surprised me. So I think our standing now is we're presupposing they're going to screw it up.
I think you're right there. I think that because they've failed and failed and failed after basically Endgame, with Spider-Man No Way Home being and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 being the two bright spots otherwise. I think that not just that. I mean, we also have Daredevil and Wolverine, but basically we're going into it now thinking that we're going to get a crap movie and or television show. It's funny to me that we are even having discussions about like superhero fatigue when it's almost obvious to me that it's not superhero fatigue, it's bad movie fatigue, because the movies in general are doing horrible. It's not just superhero movies, it's across the board. Movies are doing horrible.
Well, sure, but I think when you lose your core audience, your biggest champions, it's really difficult to win them back. Like they get really cynical and unwilling to give you the benefit of the doubt. Even if you do make something good. I've heard overwhelmingly that Andor is pretty good. And the new trailer for Andor Season 2 looks pretty good. I haven't seen it because I don't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Out of all the Star Wars stuff, I've heard that Andor was actually pretty good. But it's like, I don't really want to chance it because they'll probably screw it up. And then I'll be disappointed again.
Yep. Aren't we insane, Silver? Or are we just over-obsessing about something that doesn't mean that much?
Sorry, I had to walk away for a second to close the window. It was getting cold in here.
Never walk.
This
is gold. Every moment is gold.
Gold.
Anyway, are we insane?
No.
Oh, sweet.
Great. That's a load off of my mind.
I take back my statement then, yes. Make you feel.
Well, no. I'd like to at least see if we can't coax thoughtful commentary from Silver really quick. I mean, we're talking about their respect of the franchises and whether or not we're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, think of something you love. Like you love Lord of the Rings. Are you confident of anything that's coming out? Like, how would you treat something new being announced?
Like, besides, say, Rings of Power.
I mean, we're getting a Gollum movie from the Jackson franchise.
That's right. Oh, I forgot about that.
How do you see this?
I don't trust it. I don't think it's gonna be good.
Well,
like the Gollum game, it's gonna suck.
The Gollum game did suck, but why don't you trust it? Elaborate on that.
Partially just because, like, it's different people doing it, you know? I know, like, isn't Peter Jackson involved with the Gollum movie?
Yep.
Well,
was that a thing, or was it just Andy Serkis?
I don't know how much he's involved personally.
Well, I guarantee you he's a producer. I mean, Philippa Boyens, who won an Oscar for making for writing the script for Lord of the Rings, she participated in War of the Rohirrim. It sucked.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's.
I think that goes to where you can't trust than like the original directors of it now. Unfortunately, they seem to not get their own material.
Well, why can't you trust them?
I don't know how to really explain it. It seems like it's like they're not fans of their own thing.
Yeah.
I think Jackson's a massive Lord of the Rings fan.
What was that?
I think Peter Jackson's a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
I think he is. I think he is. I think this is kind of a case of once bitten, twice shy.
What do you think, Silver?
As the saying goes.
I'm trying to think about it more. I don't know, it's really difficult to explain, but yeah, there's something about this older material like Star Wars, like Lord of the Rings has come out that has done incredibly well, and something about trying to do more of it. Like nowadays. More movies out of it, spin-offs, that's just not working. And
why do you think that is?
I don't know exactly what it is. I know it's like partially in some things it's the pushing DEI stuff. But not all of them is really pushing it that hard. Yeah, because you can see it in Rings of Power. It was pushed more. I don't know, it was also just writing. I don't know what to say about that. It was something about the decrease in quality of writing from the original stuff. Same with the new, like, Star Wars series, you know, like Boba Fett and all that. It's like the writing got worse.
I think there's something there. I think the quality of writing overall is just not good.
It doesn't feel well thought out.
No.
I think is what I'm trying to. Yeah.
Well, there was
it feels like a rush. Like, oh. Hey.
I have an example to support your point. There was a scene in Captain America: Brave New World where the Hulk punches the new Captain America, and he blocks it with his wings. And apparently there was a complaint behind the scenes where somebody was like, that's really dumb. That doesn't make sense. Like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, even if he could absorb the blow with some fancy vibranium shield or wings or whatever, it would still throw him across the room. And no one had thought about how that is dumb. It doesn't make sense. So they had to go back, and that was part of reshoots at one point, where instead they hit him and then he flies back and hits a car or something. Because somebody thought momentum and force can't just be dissipated that easily. Maybe we should think about the films slightly. Go ahead, sorry.
Wasn't there a scene in like one of the earlier Avengers or something, or maybe it wasn't even the Hulk hitting him, of just someone hitting Captain America, and yeah, he doesn't get hurt because he has the shield, but he does get thrown backward?
Well, and you would. And it's strange that the quality of writing we get now is they just don't think about it. Like that there's just no reflection on it any deeper than like superficially.
Yeah. And you can see a lot with stuff, there's the stuff like that where they just don't think through things. But also a lot of, oh, this thing happened in a previous show, but we're gonna ignore that. And it just kind of destroys the world.
I think Hollywood and gaming is run by mediocre, new, poor quality writers and creators that don't know how to make anything. And they produce bad content.
Yeah. So one of the things that I remember about Indiana Jones, they were talking, I believe it was Spielberg was talking about the stuff that he was raised on. And I wonder at this point, like you and I, we were raised on Indiana Jones. And there were tons of people out there that were raised on Indiana Jones.
I know where your point's going. And we have had this discussion on the podcast before.
Right. What I kind of want to get to is, I think that if you and I'm not saying that we could, do an Indiana Jones movie, but I believe that the people that were actually raised on Indiana Jones, liked Indiana Jones and things, we could come together and we could have ideas that would honor Indiana Jones as an IP.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think the core of that point is that they were raised in a different world that grew up with like Saturday morning adventure stories and stories about Doc Savage fighting in the jungle and stuff. And they grew up in an element that created this desire to make the content that they made. The problem with our generation and anyone younger than us is we were raised on Indiana Jones. We weren't raised on the influences of Indiana Jones. So our ability to recreate it would be a facsimile of Indiana Jones, not recreating the original inspiration. So I don't think just because we grew up with Indiana Jones is any guarantee that we could reproduce Indiana Jones, because it would just be a facsimile of Indiana Jones.
I get where you're coming from on that, but I still think that we can look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, for instance, and we can say look where they all went wrong. I think that you don't necessarily need to be raised on the originals to be able to create something that honors the IP that was based off of something else.
I mean, not necessarily, but like somebody born today could watch the Indiana Jones movies and have as much of a connection that we have with them. I think the problem is the era they grew up with, Lucas and Spielberg, was a different time, and they grew up with different kinds of stories. We didn't.
I get it.
We grew up with the result of that work.
Right.
Ross has joined us.
But
finish your point, Jason.
Hello.
But I'm curious what Ross has to say about this conversation.
What I was trying to get to was that obviously you and I, Ross, Silver, we're not in Hollywood as writers. And I think that if there were more people like us in Hollywood as writers that would be like, look, that's a bad idea. One, Indiana Jones would never do that. Two, it should be about, X, Y, and Z. The people that seem to gravitate towards those types of jobs are not the people that I don't know what happened between George Lucas and Spielberg and us.
You're describing a fan, and a fan is different than a writer. A fan loves the material for what it is. A creative writer is going to show up and go, I'm going to put my mark on this, which means they want to do a twist. They want to make it their own. They don't want it to be too reflective of the original. They want to make something new and then be like, yeah, I did that shit. You're speaking from a fan's perspective because you want it to honor what you've already seen. These are different things, and a fan does not guarantee a good writer. A fan would make perhaps a mediocre Indiana Jones movie that would be fit within the world, but it would be mediocre.
I get that, but what I was going for was like, obviously the people that seem to be writers and stuff in Hollywood are activists, not writers.
Well, I think that's the current trend in just the culture. Is that activism is at the forefront over art and creation. Before we get too deep, Ross, what do you think?
Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's the shitty writing. I mean, number one, there's some institutional inbreeding as far as Hollywood's concerned. But on top of that,
very much so,
we don't have any more. Think about it. We don't have pulp, either comics or novels anymore. No. And the people that wrote those had penny dreadfuls when they were growing up. Like, there's no more cheap, disposable, but really fun and interesting, if sometimes good, sometimes amazing, media. The closest we get anymore, I mean, it's just slop. And, not all the old cheap media was good back in the day, but there's a lot of amazing stuff that was written. And I think the lack of pulp is why we've approached where we are now. Everyone wants to be, a Spielberg, they want to make Apocalypse Now. They want to be these brilliant auteurs. And it's like, no, there's no more Sam Raimis of the world, he's the last of the breed. Nobody does that now. The closest we had was Tim Gunn, and he's sniffing his own farts too. So,
very much so.
Yep. Oh,
James Gunn, not Tim Gunn. Tim Gunn's the gay guy on the clothes sewing show. Anyway,
so gay. Well, it's been a good discussion. Kathleen Kennedy may or may not be leaving. We have confirmed nothing.
I love that for us. You know what? She's like a herpes. She'll never leave us.
Even when she's gone, we're going to feel her effects for years to come.
Oh, yeah. Well, the shame will last forever.
News dump.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
It's that special time of day. Special time in the week. We get a special time in the week for special kids who ride the special bus. And this is our special segment. We are going.
I love riding a special bus.
The special. We are cramped. There's way too many of us. When you watch this podcast, you are stuck in the bus with us.
Just sweaty.
To get out the sad news right out the gate, we've lost Gene Hackman.
No.
Yeah, it's been a bummer. There's suspicious stuff surrounding his death because he and his wife passed, as well as one of their dogs.
Yeah.
So there are questions as to what happened. There is nothing confirmed. They did somewhat of a toxicology, and they know it wasn't carbon monoxide.
Interesting.
And they were found dead in different locations. But yes, unfortunately, we have lost Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, one of the greatest directors of the past generation. I mean, we're talking Unforgiven. We're talking Crimson Tide. He's so flippin' good in Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Gene Hackman's great. He's a great actor.
I just watched one of his finer films, in fact, just a week or two ago. I think I mentioned on the podcast. The Birdcage.
The Birdcage, yeah.
He's great in that. Yeah, he's awesome. French Connection. He's an amazing actor, man.
But I think with his passing, at the very least, he can look back on a successful and well-loved career. So rest in peace, Gene Hackman. As we're moving on, much less known, but somebody I'm a big fan of, we've lost David Johnson. Now, he was the flamboyant New York Dolls vocalist, but if anyone is a big fan of the Christmas movie Scrooged, he is the guy driving the cab.
Oh!
All right.
With the cigar.
Yeah, he's great.
Where he's actually part of one of the more emotional scenes where he goes back and looks at his life when he was a child and gets teary-eyed seeing him as a little kid and his mom saying she loved him.
No.
And he's a part of that Smokey to Stogie. It's a great scene. And another angel returns to heaven. And perhaps bigger for a different generation, one that isn't mine, Michelle Trachtenberg has passed away from Gossip Girls and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Only 39.
Ah, tragic. Yeah, that's so sad.
And
I think she was also...
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to mention she also lent the voice to the pink gummy bear that steps in a bear trap from Robot Chicken, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's her screaming at the top of her lungs. And what a talent. I mean, and I'm not even, like, that's not even being facetious. Like, genuinely, it's funny as hell.
What wasn't she like the Ice Queen in I think it was Buffy, maybe it was that Gossip Girl or whatever. She was also Harriet the Spy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. An unfortunate loss of somebody who probably should have stuck around for quite some time. And maybe it may have been returning for the reboot of Buffy. So it's kind of tragic that she's not around for that. And she got a bunch of her former co-stars sort of speaking out about how much they loved her. So unfortunate to say the least.
Hey, Magic Mirror!
Also unfortunate. I didn't get it queued up, so you got to hear it slightly. Another rest in peace. We're getting Shrek 5.
Oh. Uh-oh.
This involves a lot of controversy because people are enraged that the characters don't look accurate to the originals. This is the big controversy on the internet. You know what I'm more unhappy about? Zendaya plays his daughter.
I was going to say.
The world's most mediocre actress that everybody's in love with for some reason. I can't say she's been in any role where I was like, wow, she was really good in that. She's not.
You know where this all started?
Same and everything.
Oh, yeah. She's just so bland. And you know where this all started? The Greatest Showman. I blame that movie. That catapulted her into mega fame, and I'm pissed. That also stupid movie.
The really ugly nose ring doesn't help her character.
That's how you know she's teen.
Yes,
how I know teen ogre and less
she's modern teen is essentially the point.
Sure. Yeah.
Gross. One of my favorite stories that I've alluded to, Ross, a theater had its ceiling collapse.
It really is incredible.
During Captain America,
was hurt when this ceiling collapsed at the Liberty Cinema in Wenatchee. Look at all the
debris
on the ground right
now,
covering rows of
Jesus
that
Lord.
The movie was actually still playing. 2 people were there on Tuesday night watching Captain America when that ceiling came crashing down. I spoke with the battalion fire chief who responded to the theater.
So the theater collapsed. No one died because no one was watching the movie.
Oh, the way she said that is so funny. Oh my god.
But according to all the evidence that we're getting of the new Captain America. It's the top movie in America right now.
Every movie.
Sure it is.
Top movie. But
this goes back to what I was saying earlier about us being fatigued on bad movies.
No.
Nobody's going to see movies.
You know what, Jason? I have a different take. Captain America 4, being as bad as it is literally saving lives.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You are correct.
If this was Wicked,
cannot
this would be
deny
a
that.
tragedy of epic proportions.
Oh yeah,
That's
this would be. Oh yeah,
So
there would be
many-
calls for
So
new
many white women.
regulations. Oh yeah, so many white girls, dude.
Oh, there'd be a ribbon.
You know, because
On like Facebook profiles. Yeah.
Well, like the breast cancer one, we would get a ribbon of some sort of theaters collapsing on women watching Wicked.
It would be green, the color of Elphaba.
Yeah.
we could start a petition to have a congressional medal presented to Captain America: Brave New World for
They're
Literally
just pinning it on the
saving lives.
DVD cover on the movie poster.
Yeah.
Nobody from Disney wanted to accept it.
We're making bad movies so you're not caught in a theater when it collapses on you.
What if? What?
No one was injured because there were only 2 people in there.
What if the writers of this film had a premonition years ago and they knew they had to stop it somehow? And the original premonition, it was hundreds of people dying and injured, and they knew what they had to do.
I'm you from the future. You have to be a writer on this movie, and you have to make it bad.
You have to make it really dumb. Also, really, we should really work on the show before it and make it bad too. I'm going to be honest. We really need to pump the handle on this. Like, it's bad.
Is this like that?
It's really bad.
I'm back from the future. There's a tragedy. Your daughter marries a black guy.
Audie.
He's like, I'm okay with this. I'm not so okay with you, Doc Brown, anymore. Like, this is a little. It's a tragedy.
I don't feel comfortable around you.
Well, thankfully, Captain America 4 is bad, and no one wanted to see it. Otherwise, it would have been a massive tragedy.
Thank God.
Oh.
Thank you, Disney.
Hideo Kojima apparently responded after seeing Captain America: Brave New World, saying that it was confusing. Of all people to say a movie's confusing, Hideo Kojima's not the one you want, who notoriously makes confusing stories.
Yeah.
To quote, I vaguely remember Sam receiving the shield at Endgame, but when did he officially become Cap? Is it because I haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier? His pointed observations about requiring knowledge from Falcon and Winter Soldier to fully understand Brave New World touched upon a persistent criticism of Marvel recent releases. If you're not watching the Disney Plus shows, you're left confused. He also had a bunch of other questions which are really funny that he's like, what's happening? I don't understand. I love that of all people, he is confused.
Oh.
Hey, remember how
Bless you,
successful
Hideo.
Dragon Age Veilguard was? Well, it's now going to be free on PlayStation Plus this month. That's how.
Oh, thank God!
That's how successful that game was. That they're
nobody's
giving
gonna
it
play
away
on
for
that
free.
either.
Well, I'll be able to have it
Tens,
for free.
perhaps hundreds of people will buy it. We'll play it now.
I mean, the only scenario where I would play it is if I had it for free. So we are approaching the possibility of me watching somebody confess to their parents that she's non-binary.
Listen here, Parker. I want the Veilguard review on my desk by next week.
Lovely. I didn't put it on the docket, but it seems to be confirmed that John Lithgow is going to be playing Dumbledore. And in unfortunate commentary from him, he actually said he's of the age that it was a difficult decision to make because this will likely be his last role.
Oh, don't, John, please, don't say that. I, on that subject, not to be this way, but he brought it up, so I'm gonna bring it up too. How fucking dumb are the casting directors? Do they literally want a repeat of what happened in the movies? Like, they're getting it down to that nitty gritty where it's like, well, we have to recast him by the after the second season.
He is 79. This could run for like 10 years.
Yeah, and it could be 79. That could be tomorrow. He's gone. It could be midway through season 1. Like, we don't know. And I don't want to, but he brought it up. Mr. Lithgow brought it up. But like,
they could get a younger actor and age him.
He wouldn't.
We don't do that anymore.
No.
They could though.
Well, it came as a total surprise to me. I just got the phone call up at Sundance Film Festival for yet another film, and it was not an easy decision because it's going to define me for the last chapter of my life, I'm afraid. But I'm very excited. Some wonderful people are turning their attention back to Harry Potter, and that's why it's been such a hard decision. I'll be about 87 years old at the wrap party, but I've said yes.
Wow.
Yep.
He'll be 87 if they're lucky. I mean, the way shows go now, I mean, unless they just have one hell of a production cycle, and they should, just to keep the kids from aging too much. Stranger Things.
No, just
like,
give them de-aging pills like they did with The Simpsons.
Oh, God. I mean, TV shows are the production's so long now. It's 2 years.
It is.
I don't know. We'll see.
A story I thought was kind of fun. Japan gets a new PS5 rental service, and they're only charging $6.56 for 8 days and 7 nights with the console.
Oh.
They're literally renting consoles. We used to be able to do that at Blockbuster back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's old school. PlayStation 5 hookers. Fun.
Yeah. Ubisoft is calling on the community to protect everyone from Assassin's Creed Shadow spoilers, because apparently the game has leaked digitally onto the internet.
Oh my God.
And they're desperate to tell people not to share information.
Oh my God, this game. What a fucking disaster.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Rhett?
Yeah?
Ubisoft's not going to survive this one, is it?
I hope not.
Hopefully.
Oh.
You know,
what happened to Ubi? It went to a farm up.
He went to a farm. He's fine. He's frolicking. Ubisoft is doing fine. Hey, everybody. Speaking of people sent off to a farm, Warner Brothers has scrapped the Wonder Woman game, being made by Monolith, who also made the Shadow of Mordor games.
Oh, no.
And Monolith is being shut down.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh.
So they never were able to finish the Wonder Woman game, despite 2 other successes. And now they're being shut down because WB has got serious financial issues.
Oh my God.
And a lot of failures. So the long-awaited Wonder Woman has been canceled. What's that, Jason?
Okay, walk me through this here. Monolith gets shut down. Were they hemorrhaging money for WB?
Yes. They have been going through purging content for a long time now. Do you watch this podcast?
I was just sitting there thinking. Well, I was just sitting there thinking, you know, the Shadow of Mordor studio. As far as I know, the Shadow of Mordor did really well.
It's
been a while ago, though.
Yeah. So I was wondering if it was other WB studios that were losing them a bunch of money, and they're just like, well you're low man on the totem.
It's WB as a whole, and WB Games has been hemorrhaging money. Multiversus it has done so badly that they're shuttering it. They're now shuttering Wonder Woman.
Versus, what's the other one? The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad was a massive, massive failure. WB Games has been doing really poorly, and WB the company has been doing really, really poorly.
Yeah.
So there's no surprise that they're basically cleaning house to try and save money and get quote unquote back to profitability.
Is Monolith part of WB Games?
They own them.
Or are they a subsidiary?
No, they own them. Hence them shutting them down. And guess what, Ross? They're going to remake Starship Troopers.
No!
That's
No!
So many of all places.
No! Oh my god. They're going to be all ladies, but not cool ladies like Dizzy, or hot ladies like the other one, the broad on the boat, on the ship.
Dizzy was attractive.
And the actress rules. She's so fun. She still interacts with the fans. She's a great lady.
No, set that behind us. The future is Sony's Starship Troopers.
How much are we taking bets on? They're going to hire a writer who really wants to get across the point that fascism bad? Are we going to?
It's hard to say because I doubt, because the other one was so unique in its artistic style that my guess is they'll probably try and be very different from that and probably go hyper realistic, like it's just a war movie fighting bugs, as opposed to sort of tongue in cheek, like cartoony.
I will say this:
news stuff, and
if they can go more, disregard the politics of the book, because nobody in Hollywood would get it. It's all about
it's not a fascist story. Yeah.
No, by the way, it's about being more than yourself and doing the right thing. Anyway, whatever. But if they can, honestly, if they go that way and they keep it more like the action, more like in the books where they're in big hulking suits or whatever, that'd be cool. I have my doubts, but we'll see.
That's kind of what I was wondering, if they were gonna. One of the things that I know that people enjoyed about was it Paul Verhoeven? Is he the one that did the? Yeah,
yeah. He's kind of a hack, but go ahead.
Well, he veered away from a lot of the themes and stuff that were addressed in the book.
He didn't read it.
And so I was just curious as to, in this new iteration, are they thinking maybe let's stick more to the book so that we distinguish ourselves from the previous version, or that'll be interesting to find out when the
I guess, but the problem is nobody understands the nuanced political system that exists in the books of Starship Troopers.
No,
because anybody who sees
personal responsibility is an allergy.
Well, right, anybody who sees a hyper militaristic society concludes that it's fascist. How many reaction videos if I see people watching Starship Troopers and them being yeah, this is super talking about fascism. It's it's not. Paul Verhoeven's might be, but Starship Troopers has nothing to do with it. It's actually hyper personal responsibility. It's hyper meritocracy, and it's a representative sort of democratic Republican sort of government. It's actually in the old school of elites can vote, and to be elite, you have to serve your nation. You have to serve your planet, sort of thing. And it's applied, only the military can vote. And it's actually, no, serving means serving the government in any capacity, in whatever you could be a ditch digger for all you know. It's just service gives you somebody who a sense of value to your nation, and you care. Right. And hence, it grants you the right to vote. And it's now you have a lower society that can't vote. And it's did you see his parents? They're doing really well. They're lawyers and stuff. They're amazing, which means people who can vote are not necessarily better off because they can vote. Voting comes with it a sense of responsibility. Like there's nuance to the culture. It is not fascist in even the minorest of sense. But people just see military outfits in gray and they're like, "Oh, this is fascist." It's like, no, it's not. But whatever.
And in a great irony for those people that assume it's a fascist book, this is a 1958 or 9 novel, and it has a non-white lead. So there you go. Take that and stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Smoke it. Let's shift on. Maybe I won't bring this article up. I'm going to bring up a different one. So it looks like, with all of the DC stuff coming out, practically half of the announcements are now basically being put on the back wing or kind of canceled, soft canceled. In particular, we're looking at The Authority, Booster Gold, Swamp Thing, Waller, all being stalled out and pushed into the back burner. Like half of the stuff announced for DC under James Gunn.
Why'd they announce it so soon? That's so dumb.
Well, it is funny, James Gunn's excuse for The Authority, because if anybody reads The Authority, it's about a society that's been living with the Justice League forever. Superman's older. It's a whole different sort of thing. It's basically like a militant, more fascistic a group of people a la the Justice League enforcing a new sort of order. It's a whole thing. And he said with the movies they're making right now, like Superman and stuff, that it's clashing with what they were going to do with The Authority. And I was like, yes, it would, because it doesn't fit in a fresh new world with new characters who you haven't lived with for a while. The Authority is years down the road. Shockingly, James Gunn is like, oh, we were finding out The Authority doesn't fit, so we're going to have to push it back. And it's like, yeah, you would.
We told you The Authority isn't the one you start with.
This is a good sign since we had Creature Commandos, which was really bad and nobody liked. And the only thing that did really successful for DC recently was Penguin, which everybody was hoping wasn't going to do well. To the point where James Gunn has been fielding comments from people asking about the Batman universe, saying that that's not the direction they want to take Batman.
God.
According to
What
Gunn,
a disaster.
As well, they are trying to build up the DC universe towards an Avengers Endgame style climax. Of course they are. Look, make it first. You always get way over your head with the sort of, which is what the problem DC did under Snyder. Make a good Superman movie first. Just make a good Superman movie. Then you know what you do? You make a good Batman movie. You know what else you do? Make a good Flash or maybe a good Green Lantern. You were planning way too far down the road. Way too far down the road.
I want the Avengers money now.
Rhett says no. Do you remember when James Gunn put out on social media him standing next to Zack Snyder? And everyone was like, why are you hanging out with him? The audiences hate each other because everyone who was a big fan of Zack Snyder are really upset that James Gunn is taking over. Well, according to James Gunn, he was intentionally trolling the internet and he didn't get the rage that he was hoping he would.
Which is bad. What? That means nobody cares, and that's a really bad sign.
Because literally he alluded to, here's a good filmmaker, maybe I should have him film or direct something. And everyone's like, no, or yes.
They're just like, what?
Hey, Rosh, remember that ugly-looking Fable movie? It's being delayed again.
Oh.
It was supposed to release this year.
Sad?
It's now being pushed to next year with the Uggo girl as the main character.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, drat. I'm just so... Oh.
Ross is upset.
Oh.
And something nobody's surprised about, the movie is being pushed back. Or the game is being pushed back. Hey, guess what? They're so upset about the shrine in Japan that Japanese politician is calling on the National Diet to condemn Ubisoft.
Oh my god.
Saying,
Dude,
can we really exclude this just because it's a game? Excuse this. Apparently you cannot excuse it.
I love that this game has turned into, I'm assuming like for the head of Ubisoft, has turned into like every day is like waking up as the president of the United States, where you just wake up with someone whispering in your ear going, problems. Problems. And you're just like,
someone's flown into
what
the
now?
2 towers. And then he's like, I need to finish reading this book to kids.
I need to finish the goat book.
Yeah, what's so funny about this is that it's not gamers. I mean, gamers do have a problem with this. Yes, they totally do. But the fact that they're riling up governments about this is hilarious to me.
Japan's not okay with it.
Poor pitiful Japan.
Hey everybody, that studio that made Callisto Protocol is having mass layoffs.
I'm sure this is a healthy sign.
Positive sign.
Yeah, you always go through mass layoffs when you're doing really well.
But yes, the game that apparently did well, it didn't. Has resulted in large layoffs at the studio.
Sure, a good-looking game with their Josh Duhamel-looking protagonist.
Oh, is anyone upset we're not getting Booster Gold on time the way we all expected it would?
No.
What's that? Is that like a Pokemon card pack? What are you talking about?
He is
If
a
it was a
superhero.
Pokemon card pack,
He's a superhero in DC that came from the future, so he has technology that makes him better than other people.
Yep.
Oh, that's really dumb.
He's actually kind of a comedic character because he didn't.
I would
invent the
imagine.
stuff. He just kind of took it and went back in time.
So it'd be like if you send like any asshole back in time.
Yeah.
With
pretty
like
much.
Yes. Yeah.
an AK-47.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I mean, that's a funny premise.
His whole
Very
goal
clever.
is to become famous.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my god.
So he's kind of a funny
Maybe
character.
we shouldn't have announced that so soon.
Yes, well, not a mainline character. This is a character who shows up in a well-established world with superheroes, and he's like, I'm going to be one too. And everyone's like, who are you, you weirdo?
Like, say I don't know, a Deadpool sort of guy. Like, you know,
Yeah, kind of.
someone who disrupts and shows the absurdity of all this crap.
Jason,
They
what do we got
team
here?
him up with Blue Beetle a lot. So this is kind of one of those funny things that obviously Bungie didn't think that they would have to deal with. So Destiny 2 comes out, and they get sued by this guy. He has a really long name. It was let's see.
Matthew Kelsey Martineau.
Matthew Kelsey Martineau. Yes. Apparently he has a blog, and on this blog he's been writing this fiction story, and he's saying that the Red Legion, which was the focus of Destiny 2, right at the beginning when they first released it, was based on his work from this WordPress blog. And the thing is that Bungie is having trouble now because they've vaulted that content, so they can't even get it anymore. It's basically gone. They don't have.
Oh,
yeah, it's unavailable to play. They've removed it from the campaign and everything. They don't have copies of it. So what they did was they had to submit basically they had to submit, we can't give you this stuff because one, Destiny 2's narrative is only available to players in the form of a live service video game that has changed significantly over time, and two, physical copies of Destiny 2 and any 2017 version of Destiny 2 are no longer available. And so what they've done is they've attached videos. They took a 10-hour video from a YouTuber named My Name is Byf, called The Complete Story of Destiny from Origins to Final Shape, Light and Dark Saga Lore and Timeline. And that's their Exhibit A.
What?
And it's
they don't
10 hours long.
They don't
And
have
then
like an in-house lore master? They don't have a game Bible? What? What's going on at Bungie?
They got this from a YouTuber.
Oh my god.
And their Exhibit B is from another YouTuber called Destinel. That's called Destiny 2, The Red War All Cutscenes Season 1.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that we're having these lawsuits and stuff that are coming out now. And this I know this is going to shape lawsuits going on in the future, because companies are going to be like, you know what, we probably can't vault this stuff and just delete it and have no way to recover it anymore, because we're going to be needing to present it as evidence now in these lawsuits that come up.
That's just insane to me that they can't just get
it to
an old build of the game.
Set it on a shelf.
Yeah. What's it's like when you hear about how all these old broadcasts just don't exist anymore because they taped over them.
Uh-huh.
What?
Well, that was not the thing of the past. Companies still do it today.
Yeah, apparently. Good God, what morons.
No version of that exists anymore, I guess.
It's my life service is the devil.
Live service is the devil. Ross, how are things been going? Do you see anything new?
I have not seen anything new, I'm afraid. I've been more focused on other things, but this week will be a viewing week for me, I believe, of many things. I did try to watch Spectre.
Oh yeah.
And and I haven't finished it because I was so annoyed that they had to put the sepia tone, the tan filter on Mexico City, and it really bothers me because it's such a bad trope. And it's what? Mexico City's in a jungle, right, guys? What are you doing?
How would you know that you were in Mexico City if they didn't make it look like, the old westerns?
Listen, Mexico is two places. It's either the beach resort or it's dusty border town. That's all Mexico can ever be, all right?
Yep.
That's it.
So they had to put the sepia tone in there. Otherwise, we would have been confused. We would have been wait, they celebrate the Day of the Dead in Africa?
Exactly.
Well, that's why me and Ross were talking about how when anybody depicts America, it's either New York, Los Angeles, or probably cowboys in Texas or southern Utah.
Yeah, it's Texas, but it looks like Monument Valley.
Yeah.
So, that's how you know it's Texas. It looks nothing like it.
There's no in between or subtle differences. It's New York, Los Angeles, and the middle of nowhere cowboys.
America.
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 Yeah.
Coming again to be Cowboys in Monument Valley, yeah.
Lick my butt and suck on my balls.
Brett, it's such a good version that we're gonna get flagged. They're gonna think you're using their music. We're gonna copyright it.
Too perfect. Silver, how's your week? Your future
slugger.
Homeboy.
What was that sentence?
Home slice.
Don't
Joseph.
judge me with your cat puke bed.
No.
Her cat puked
Yeah,
out.
you were here for it. The cat exploded.
Or was it the fat one? Is that the one that barfed?
No,
It's the one with
it was the
missing
barfy
teeth.
one.
Yeah.
Little stray. Yeah, the one with one tooth.
Oh, he
He's
got
like,
tooth?
all over your bed right before the podcast.
Oh, really make it stink in there. That's nice.
What
yeah,
was
it was
the
bad.
puke record for that cat?
Oh, 9?
In a day?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What is wrong with that cat?
Listen, we've asked the vet, we're like, he barfs a lot. And they did a full exam and they're like, nothing wrong with him. Maybe it's his gross, nasty teeth. So they were pulled, didn't fix it. They're like, he probably just eats really fast. It's just him.
Yeah, my cat did that. He would eat too fast and go yak it all up.
Well, get him one of those food mazes you get for pets because they'll eat too fast and then throw up. So it takes them time. They have to eat through the little maze.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That might help.
I love it when dogs outsmart it by just picking up the bowl and throwing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta nail it to the ground.
God, little jackasses.
Yeah. Well, now you gotta sleep in your pukey bed. It's the rule.
Oh, the nice moist, underneath the top sheet, the moistness of the puke that seeped through. That's awesome.
Well,
Enjoy
I was telling
it.
her she
really
could,
revel in
she could suck on the mattress and get a delicious treat for later.
it. He was thinking of you.
I was yeah. And then we had a
I
whole
think he means the
discussion.
cat.
Well, we had a whole discussion of if I puked on the same spot, am I in trouble or is it just adding to the puke? Is there? But it's already pukey. Why are you upset with me?
Why are you so mad? What the hell? I thought this is where we puked. He did it.
It's a puke spot.
Come on.
Listen, you can go ahead and puke on the puke spot, but as long as you clean it up.
No.
Well, that
he didn't
wasn't
have
the
to, so I'm
rules
not gonna-
here. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I thought this is where
You didn't
polite
make that cat
companies
get a
threw
scrub
up.
brush. Yeah.
The old mistaken lore about the Roman vomitoriums.
Well, it's more like a spittoon at an Old West bar.
Nah. That's right, partner.
It's the public puking spot.
Do you ever think that, like, the love of old wooden floors and how rich and deep they look is because there's old chewing backy on there? It really stains it
Yeah,
nice.
That's how the floors got stained. They were.
I mean, I bet
Probably
it
right.
makes a really
Rich
beautiful
look.
deep stain.
Yeah. Early
Yeah, it's just
staining.
gross.
You were encouraged to chew and spit it on the floor. It helped enrich it and keep the water out of the wood.
Yeah. I mean, it is a thing. Like, guns in smokers' houses, like people who like smoke profusely in their home, they're never rusty. They are coated in a thin film of nicotine, but they're never rusty. It's the
You
weirdest
get a
thing I've ever
contact high
seen.
just from picking it up.
Oh, they're horrible. You have to like stick anything that's wood out in the sun to get all the nicotine stink out of it, but they're never rusty.
Like Silver's bed, there's always a benefit.
Oh, see? There you go.
Your new flavor
Now, is it
saver.
also a smoking spot? Can I put my cigarette butts there?
Well, that's
Probably
inappropriate.
extinguish it. What?
It's your flavor saver, Silver. It's where you keep your delicious flavors.
It's the road to Flavor Town.
Road the flavor
No,
town.
God, Gary, no.
And you're driving the train through flavor country.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Here we have Silver's bed, the puke stain. This is a little dive bar.
I'm glad we revisited this just to rub it in a little more.
It was amazing. I was like, I'm ready to podcast. I got done with another freaking test today. I did better than I thought. I'm feeling good. There's vomit on my bed.
Hey, you know what? At least you noticed it before you laid in it.
The world
that's
has a
true.
way of taking you down a notch when you're feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, it can't let you get too cocky.
It hurts.
Don't feel proud of yourself, little lady. We'll bring you down a notch. Puke on your bed.
I know. I can't get it again.
You might as well treat it like God puked on your bed. It's holy puke.
Oh, maybe a pilgrimage is in order?
I'm going to keep shit
My
up.
cat has blessed us this day.
Fight night. I mean, that's a different song. This is our proprietary AI song that we're using.
Well, I can't hear it very well, so therefore it is now Darude Sandstorm by me.
Do you know what I heard?
Also known
a
as the
party
Get Your Ass
remix
to Mars
of?
song. Mm.
The most confusing song. What was it? Zombie by the Cranberries?
Oh, that's the one. Oh my god!
There's a party version, a song about people dying in the Troubles.
Isn't that about the
Ireland.
Troubles?
Yes. And I heard a party version.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I want a party version of like we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. At least that has like a not frivolity, but you know, like kind of an off the cuff nature to it. But Zombie's like a very catchy but heartfelt song.
Yes. Well, to readdress a conversation we had, because I was thinking, ooh, party version of Creep. I was sitting there thinking to myself, Creep is like the anthem to anyone who's ever felt bad and acts like it's their theme song, even though everybody feels like it's their theme song of people feeling like they're misunderstood. And then I was like, you know, let's say you're feeling really sad. Maybe you listen to it 2-3 times. Is there a point where you've listened to Creep so many times that somebody needs to check on you because you're not okay?
Oh.
Like, what's the numerical number? Because I thought if you've listened to Creep 10 times in a row, you're probably lying dead on the floor.
Family Guy style, baby.
Yeah. So it's like, what's the limit? At some point, it's like if you're reaching 5 or 6, it's like, whoa, you've listened to that song. Wait, like we need to send people to check on you. Like the police need to show up to see if you're doing okay.
You need a welfare check.
A welfare check, yeah.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6. I mean, I think maybe 10. I think 10's the good number because I've probably listened to it on repeat a little bit. You think?
Creep, if you're seriously sitting there listening to it over and over again, the most depressing song of like, I don't belong here. If you're at 10, you're passed away.
I mean,
it's on repeat in the background.
Is this like some sort of like what's that movie with Tom Cruise, the pre-crime division? The
Minority
division?
Report. They monitor on YouTube people listening to Creep too many times. They're reaching the threshold. Her life's in danger.
You gotta send somebody out there.
We'll send Silver with a bucket of puke.
That'll bring you right up.
Here.
Hey, everybody. Monstars. Where's my... There we go.
Yep. In this round, we're down to the final 4. And we have Bigfoot, who is 6'9" to...
This is my boy.
Between 6 and 9 feet tall, up to a max of 10 to 15 feet tall. Bipedal humanoid or ape-like, covered with black, brown, or red fur. Broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms. And he is up against the Goatman of Maryland. Goatman of Maryland, humanoid face, either hairy humanoid or possibly more fawn-like. Dr. Stephen Fletcher was the first one to report the goat man, I believe. It attacks cars. It lives near abandoned trailer parks. It kills anything living. It especially goes after couples. And it's about 6 feet tall and has bright eyes. So, who wins in this fight? Go.
All right.
What are we getting from?
Here's. Oh yeah, I guess we need the AI.
Yeah, I got the Chat GPT. Okay. In a straight-up fight, Bigfoot's strength might give it the advantage. However, the Goatman's ability to outmaneuver and trick give it an edge, especially if it uses the environment to benefit. Ultimately, the outcome could depend on the setting and how each creature utilizes its strengths.
It always gives itself a way out, this AI. I don't like that. It's slippery. It's slimy.
But it may, or possibly... Why does it live near abandoned trailer parks? I'm confused. Is that when it's attacking
because the people who see it are always on meth, Rhett. I don't know how to tell you that.
Redneck couples.
Yeah, they're going out there to make out, and it's an abandoned trailer park. They're not going to be interrupted, and then they get killed by the Goat Man of Maryland.
What if he's just some hairy guy looking for a part for an old Camaro that he can't find?
Hi, man. I see you got that Firebird up on blocks, man. I just came by to see what's going on, man.
Look at this. Attacks cars. Lives near abandoned trailer parks. Kills couples.
Maybe he's like a redneck. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like
rednecks don't turn into werewolves. They turn into goat men.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Just like a Hank Hill character.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, Bigfoot is larger, and
much
and
larger.
Everything. Yeah, the Goat Man though seems to be more aggressive than
Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot's
Bigfoot's
never attacked nobody.
For attacking people, whereas
First of
you
all,
have the
Ross,
Goat Man.
There's no evidence of that. Maybe he's so good you never find the bodies.
No, we can't do that, remember? We have to go with what we know. And what we know is he walks away in grainy footage through trees. That's what we know. So he's just a big, lurpy idiot. Sure, that doesn't mean he kills anybody. It just means he's got stealth technology.
Exactly. Goat Man exposing himself to doctors.
And redneck couples, thank you. Very reliable sources.
It could be that Bigfoot does, like they said in Red Dead Redemption, that Bigfoot does eat babies. So it could be, but we don't have that information. As far as we know, Bigfoot leaves people alone and mostly just slinks away.
Well, guess what?
Rather than being filmed.
You know what we do know? Goat Man hasn't killed anyone, despite being as aggressive. So he sounds like a failure.
Possibly, but he's at least more aggressive than Bigfoot.
Yeah, he's a failure at attacking people at trailer parks.
I'm thinking Bigfoot will be intimidated. Here's what I think will actually happen. Now, I want you to picture it. A misty, like, wooded glen, full moon, so you get the light.
Uh-huh.
And the Bigfoot and the Goat Man are looking at each other from across the way.
Uh-huh.
And then you just hear, "Goat Man, you son of a bitch!" And they walk up to each other. They do the predator, and like flex their awesome biceps. That's what's going on. But see, here's what I think is happening. I think Goat Man's attacking people that are trying to take pictures of his boy Bigfoot because he knows his boy is a little shy.
Okay,
that's what I'm thinking. So I think they're gonna just do a really cool clasp of hands and flexing of their biceps.
Yeah, but who moves on? We can't have them both move on to the final round.
Well, one's literally higher status if the other one's helping him stay hidden.
Yeah, it's true. Would Goat Man be magnanimous? I don't know.
Well, he would defer to Bigfoot if he's going out of his way attacking random people.
I mean, maybe he knows that he's not the goat, if you will.
But since Bigfoot wants to remain on the DL, does he then cede the match to the Goat Man and have him take his place in the finals?
No, I think the Goat Man knows that he can't just show himself to anybody willy-nilly. So it's got to be at the end of this here. Yeah, so like he's saving him for the big time.
Well, right. And what I'm saying is, does Bigfoot go into the final match, or does he like, well, I want to stay in the shadows and still run things from back here? So I'm sending
final
you
match.
out.
I mean, he's going to be the king of the cryptids. I mean, this is like Godzilla, king of monsters. You know what I mean?
And also, I don't buy this. He's shy hiding. He's just good at it.
Well, we don't know.
Well, Ross, how many ninjas have you seen?
Well, this is the modern day, so none. I don't, and I'm also not a lord in Japan.
Well, how many dead people have you seen that ninjas have killed?
Well, none, because they don't exist.
Well, does that mean that ninjas aren't good at killing people?
Well, they're not now. Listen, I'm talking about real things like Bigfoot and the Goat Man, not these made-up Japanese tales, okay? I just want to keep it on track here. And, you know, I think my big no-neck boy, I think he's gonna save his power, because Goat Man, his boy...
He loves television and used to hang out with Dumbledore.
That's true.
Future Dumbledore.
It's got the most classic scene of, get out of here. I don't want you anymore. Leave.
You dumb animal.
You dumb animal. He goes sulking off all sad because he wants to say, remember when like he put a dent in the car to try and fit his head?
Yes.
Yeah. He's a big beefy boy.
Oh, yeah,
He's a big beefy boy who enjoys himself some cable TV. I think he's got it. I think he's got this sewed up.
One of the coolest scenes in that movie is when all of the Bigfoot just like materialize out of the forest, just like perfectly having blend in to everything. There's like 40 of them. Like, whoa, where'd all these guys come from?
Whoa!
And you know what? Most important of all, Bigfoot's got heart.
He does.
He's a friend to you
really
and me.
Big heart.
He
So
loves
ready to take a vote?
Silver, you've said nothing tonight.
Yeah, you're suspiciously quiet.
Are you
Because I
enraged?
came up with a dumb scenario in my head.
Oh, well, sure.
All right. They're staring each other down. Battle of the century. Bigfoot, from his massive fur, which I assume is like a giant storage unit, pulls out random can. Yucks it at the Goat Man. Goat Man instincts are like, my gosh, a can. Starts eating the can. Bigfoot disappears. Goat Man doesn't know where he's gone. My gosh, where is he? He appears out of behind him from a bush. T-poses.
Oh my god.
Snaps his neck.
Yeah.
You know, those horns seem to be really cool, but they're also a negative because it's something to grab onto. Which is why Vikings didn't have horns.
A handle for snapping.
That is a strong visual you gave us, Silver.
It is good. Better than any AI.
I don't know why the visual of Bigfoot.
I vote Bigfoot because Harry and the Hendersons.
A perfectly valid reason. The documentary, Harry and the Hendersons.
I vote Bigfoot because I'm thinking the height gives him an advantage with not just height-wise, but longer arms and everything. And he seems to be the beefier of the two. So even though the Goat Man likely has more ferocity, I don't see him coming out on top in a fight between him and Bigfoot.
Look at you trying.
I'm voting.
Reason.
I'm voting for
One
Bigfoot
of us has to.
Because the Goat Man and he are boys, and he wants the Bigfoot Man to sew this up at the top, and he knows it's a waste of his energy to fight him.
King of the Cryptids. Silver, how does it feel to have your vote invalidated and mean nothing?
What? I was voting Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't matter.
No.
He already won.
He summons Can out of nowhere, distracts Goatman, kills him by T-posing.
Pocket Can.
Well, that's it. Bigfoot moves on to the finals, and
the other
we
two
have
finals?
next time. What was that?
Who were the other two finals?
The other two finalists are the Beast of Bray Road and the Mongolian Deathworm. So that will be our next matchup, and then we'll have Bigfoot facing either the Beast of Bray Road or the Mongolian Deathworm.
I mean, as much as I enjoy arguing about Shai Hulud, I don't think he's gonna fight the werewolf.
You're hoping though, because I know for a fact Bigfoot is just gonna win by whipping the worm around.
Hey, don't go into it right now. We got to save this for next week.
Save that. Keep it deep in your plums.
I'm so excited.
Pack it away. Well, it's been a special podcast. And we're so grateful you've come to join us. You random secret people that I know are watching but say nothing. You're special. You're stuck on the bus with us, and one of us has farted, and you'll never know who. I'm not Jim Carrey, and nobody made a birthday wish that I have to tell the truth, so I'm not going to suddenly declare it was me in the elevator.
Come my birthday, that is exactly what I'm wishing.
Well, you know what I usually do? I'm not a solitary bomber, I'm a crop duster.
Oh my god.
I let it go through crowds. Just walk through large groups of people letting it out. No one will figure it out. Strong. Obviously, if you like the podcast, liking is useful, as well as commenting, because it creates engagement, and I will respond no matter how much you hate me. I won't like it, but I'll probably make a comment. But sharing organically is how podcasts are shared, blah, blah, blah. We're here to have fun. Are you having fun? Tell us you're having fun. If not, this isn't your podcast, I suppose. At any rate, we're grateful you've come along with us, and it's been another special time with this episode 56. We're gonna run out of here. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, I get it. It's funny.
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, you can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God, it's so juicy!